Hi, I'm Charles Purcell. This is the Daily Log for Monday, June 8th. Holy hell, what a weekend. Oh my goodness. You know, usually I like to ease into the week with our Monday show. And just to tell you what movies I watched over the weekend. But this was an historic weekend. Are you kidding me? When last we spoke on Friday, we spent a good deal of the show on the idea of defunding the police, abolishing the police, how these were radical ideas only beginning to touch the mainstream zeitgeist. And then after I talked with you on Friday, then later that afternoon, more and more stories about defunding, restructuring, abolishing, disbanding the police. And then over the weekend, it just took off more and more. And then it's the main topic on the Sunday shows. And by Sunday night, we are seeing the headline, majority of Minneapolis City Council announces support for dismantling police department. Are you kidding me right now? Oh, man. So we're going to take a deep breath today and look at what's happening and celebrate early victories and then just get right back up and continue the fight. Oh my gosh, you are winning. But it's early. Okay, we gotta remember that. But the first couple of rounds, if we want to do a little boxing metaphor here, round one was just making a big old noise, making sure everybody notices, and fighting against the pushback about how the protests weren't even legitimate, right? And all the fires and the looting and you're a bunch of thugs, and you guys had to overcome that. And then in round two, oh my God, in round two, you scored big victories. You landed big, big punches, proving for the entire world to see that the demonstrators were serious, committed people. The looting and fires did not represent the massive, peaceful protests that just continued to grow throughout the week and even over the weekend. Yesterday still, massive protests around the world, completely peaceful. In round two, you showed the world it was proven beyond doubt that the cops were overreacting, creating the conflict in the streets, not subduing it, creating it. That's been proven. It's just a few bad apples argument. That's just falling to its knees. And now Congress is even getting into the act. Sweeping reform being proposed by Congress. And yes, we've still got the Moscow Mitch Senate, and we've got the Orange Menace, who would have to sign any legislation. But that's becoming more and more irrelevant all the time as we get closer to November 3rd. So at the end of round two, as you're sitting in your corner, getting a drink, taking a breath, toweling off for a second, getting ready to go right back out there for round three, know that you are winning this fight. Still a long fight, but you are winning. And you deserve a moment to celebrate that. And to think about the strategy for the next rounds. Specific demands, specific strategies, moving from mobilization to organization. You just have to be inspired about what's happened thus far, and especially what happened over this extraordinary weekend. The monumental failure of the Orange Menace and his little wannabe strongman tactics just revealed to everyone as pathetic, impotent. And he finally got his wall. They built this big old fence, 9-foot fence all around the White House. As soon as I saw that thing go up, as soon As soon as I saw the first story on that, I knew what was coming. First, people are going to make wall jokes, which they did. And I said, well, this thing's just going to be covered. It's just going to be covered in art in a matter of hours, which it was. The thing is just covered with protesters' art and banners and posters. What a miserable, miserable, pathetic failure. What a joke he's become. Again, just over this weekend, a whole list, a long list of military officials, generals, just ripping him a new one over use of the National Guard and the U.S. military in the streets of America. Not having it. And now they're packing up their bags and they're leaving. That's over. About the only defender out there is Bootlicker Bob. Bootlicker Bob Barr out on the Sunday shows saying there's no systemic racism in American police. Still trying to justify the horrific scene we saw at Lafayette Park last week. Bootlicker Bob is pretty much the last voice in defense of the Orange Menace. Yeah, you guys you're just racking up win after win after win. It's a sight to see. Oh, you know what? I have to kind of apologize and correct something from Friday's show. I recorded that pretty early in the morning on Friday. I hadn't followed up on this news. It was from the night before, and that was, of course, the story in Buffalo, where the two cops pushed the elderly guy back. He cracked his head on the sidewalk, bled profusely, and they let him lay there and bleed. It was bad. It was really bad. Well, here's my apology. I didn't follow up on the story. I just saw the video. Didn't talk about it on the show Friday, except just to sort of mention it and how horrible it was. Well, in my haste and carelessness, I said it was in Tennessee. Just because I think the original person who posted it was a Tennessee source, and I just glanced and saw that. And so that was very careless of me to do that, to misidentify. So my apologies for that. Of course, it was Buffalo, and the two cops who did it have pled not guilty to assault. They've been charged with assault. Anyway, I just wanted to correct my reporting on that when I talked to you on Friday. I was a little bit careless. Apparently, this old guy, Martin Gugino, a pretty well-known guy in that community. Now, I haven't heard the latest. The latest I heard, he was in stable, but still serious condition. Serious, but stable. Yeah, if you saw the video, it's not easy to see. But today we are celebrating early victories, crushing victories in some cases. We're not just having our regular Monday ease into the week. What did you do over the weekend show? But let's look at the main story of Sunday night. Again, it was just Friday. We were talking about how these radical ideas were beginning to infiltrate the mainstream. This idea, of course, being disbanding the police. And by Sunday night, damned if it didn't happen. The speed at which this is going, just incredible to me. Let's see, what am I reading? Channel 5, Eyewitness News, KSTP. 9 members of the Minneapolis City Council announced their support for disbanding the Minneapolis Police Department at a rally Sunday afternoon in Powderhorn Park. City Council President Lisa Bender said, quote, "Our commitment is to end our toxic relationship with MPD and to end policing as we know it, to recreate systems of public safety that actually keep us safe." Oh, man, this is just... Take a bow, everybody. This is happening, and it needs to happen in every city, in every town, in every county in this country. And that's why this is a huge victory, but it's an early round. You guys, you got to keep your foot on the gas. Mixing metaphors. I know I am. City Council Vice President Andrea Jenkins was joined on stage by council members at the end of the rally to announce their intent to end the Minneapolis Police Department through a budgetary process. This council is going to dismantle this police department, Ellison said. Alondro Cano, who represents the 9th Ward, replied, "We are going to create a fear-free future where every life is truly protected and respected." They said they would divert those funds toward a community-based public safety model. I mean, come on. This is so great. Oh, okay. I'm going to do a little bragging here. Okay, just for a second. It reminded me that I'm going to play you a little clip, just a short clip. This is from August of last year, August of 2019. And I produced a little series you may have heard called Scenes from a Perfect World. The premise of this little radio theater was it takes place in the future when all of our today's problems are solved. And there's a nice little scene where they talk about how there's no more police anymore. Because again, this is a perfect world. These are scenes from a perfect world. Now, my only mistake is I put this like 70 years in the future. I didn't realize it was going to happen so fast. So, yeah, a little pat on the back here. Let me play you this little clip from Scenes from a Perfect World. Here it is.
Hello, Baco.
Hey, hello, Art.
Oh, hey, Baco.
Hey, Pat.
Well, look at you. Nice uniform.
Thanks.
So you're officially a safety officer, huh?
Well, I'm still in training, but I finished the coursework and I'm out on the streets now.
Good for you.
Well, I figured it was my turn to help out.
That's great. Well, hello, Baco.
Hey there, Jake.
What are you, a cop now? Look out, everybody. There's a cop in here.
Dad. What's a cop?
Well, that's what we used to call the police.
Police? What's that?
Never mind, Billy. Dad.
Hi, Baco.
Hello, Billy.
Nice uniform. You're doing safety now, huh?
Yep, protect and serve. You think you'd like to be a safety officer when you grow up, Billy?
Sure, I guess so. For a little while, anyway. Everybody takes their turn, right?
Yep, just about everybody does.
So there you go. From about a year ago, August 2019. No more cops. Nope, community-based. How did she put it? Community-based public safety. Yep. And all those millions and millions of dollars that are going to cops reallocated to more appropriate agencies. This is just so beautiful, you guys. In my wildest dreams, I didn't think I'd see that from a major U.S. city. And it's not just a proposal. Let's get this straight. They have a veto-proof majority. This is happening. This is not a proposal. This is happening. In fact, you may have seen later in the day, or around, I forget the time frame, but also on Sunday, the mayor of Minneapolis was booed off the stage for saying he did not favor the disbanding of the police. He opposes abolishing the police. And they booed him off the stage. And the council has a veto-proof majority. This is happening. Oh, my Lord and mercy. Are you kidding me right now? Take a bow. Towel off. Have some Gatorade. And get ready for the next round. Because you are winning. And now you just got to go. Keep it up. The AP reporting about this extraordinary weekend. Police back off as peaceful protests push deep reforms. Yeah, Protests over the weekend were massive, global, peaceful. The only blips here and there were the same old story: cops instigating, flashbangs, tear gas, a little bit of that. But that is rapidly now receding in our rear window when it's been shown that it was just further proof that the cops are the problem. For all to see. U.S. protests in recent days have been overwhelmingly peaceful, the AP reports. And over the weekend, several police departments appeared to retreat from aggressive tactics. No kidding. Several cities have lifted curfews, including Chicago and New York. For the first time since protests began in New York more than a week ago, most officers Sunday were not wearing riot helmets as they watched over rallies. Police moved the barricades at the Trump Hotel and Columbus Circle for protesters so they could pass through. Reports here from California, D.C., in Washington. Oh, here. In Washington, D.C., National Guard troops from South Carolina were seen checking out of their hotel Sunday shortly before President Donald tweeted he was giving the order to withdraw them from the nation's capital. Just colossal failure, a faceplant. Just a brutal faceplant by the Orange Menace. Certainly not all Republicans, but a handful of Republicans, senators, representatives, former cabinet members, military officials, many of whom served on the Orange Menace's cabinet. Menace being the biggest star among them, coming out forcefully against attempted strongman tactics. Winning! We're winning! Not over, it's not over, it's not over, it's not over. I'm celebrating early victories. Really consequential victories. Not for a second am I saying this is over. I'm just so proud of you guys. I just gotta give you your props today. U.S. Army officials leaving Washington, D.C., quote, "We don't police the American streets. We protect America." Military leaders just not having it. Not having Trump's little strongman cosplay. No, not going to participate in that. So there are great victories already here in the books. My friend Roger shared this. For those who felt oppressed, persistence paid off. What have these protests accomplished so far? And here's a timeline. May 26th, the 4 officers fired for murdering George Floyd. 2 days later, University of Minnesota cancels contract with police. That same day, 3rd Precinct Police Station neutralized by protesters. The ATU Local 1005 refuses to bring police officers to protests or transport arrested protesters. All these little small victories adding up. On the 29th, activists commandeer hotel to provide shelter to homeless. Same day, Chauvin, who killed Floyd, is arrested. Louisville mayor suspends no-knock warrants. On the 30th, U.S. embassies across Africa condemn police murder of Floyd. Same day, Minnesota Attorney General Ellison takes over prosecution. And again, bus operators refuse to transport arrested protesters. On the 31st, 2 abusive officers fired for pulling a couple out of a car and tasing them. On the 31st, 2 more officers fired for abusive behavior during the protests. On June 1st, Minnesota Public Schools end contract with police. We talked about that. Also on June 1st, Confederate monument removed, Birmingham, Alabama. And since then, they're just coming down all over. Have you seen this too? Confederate monuments, after all the debate, all the hand-wringing, all the meetings and protests, they're just coming down. Protesters are taking them down. Mayors and city councils, whoever has to make this decision, they're just doing it. They're just coming down everywhere. Confederate monuments are being removed. In California, there's a campaign to stop district attorneys from accepting police union money. Oh yeah, police unions. Now they're Here, police unions are the next target. They are in the spotlight now, man. Tulsa, not renewing police contracts. The Louisville police chief fired after the shooting of David McAtee. June 1st, Democrats and Republicans begin push to shut down a Pentagon program that transfers military weaponry to police. Yeah, that program was started a while ago. This transfer of military weapons and vehicles from the military to local police departments. That program was shut down by Barack Obama, reopened again by Agent Orange. June 2nd, Minnesota AFL-CIO calls for the resignation of the Minnesota Police Union President Bob Kroll. Again, the ATU local refuses to transport police officers. I love that. There's several things on June 2nd here. Let's see. Whole list. Racist ex-mayor Rizzo statue removed. 6 abusive officers charged in Atlanta, Georgia. Confederate soldier statue removed in Alexandria, Virginia. General Robert E. Lee statue removed. Civil rights investigation of Minnesota Police Department launched. This is all on the same day, June 2nd. Resolution to prevent law enforcement from hiring officers with history of misconduct announced. And I think that has since already been passed. I believe I just read that. A June 2nd survey, and I think there's even one that's more recent, 64% of polled sympathetic to protesters. 47% disapprove of police handling. 54% think burning down of precinct fully or partially justified. Oh my God. Yeah, there was a more recent poll. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Huge public support for the protesters. New Jersey Attorney General announces reforms in policing. June 2nd, Minnesota City Council members publicly call for disbanding the police and replace safety and outreach capacity, which now, of course, as we've been talking about, veto-proof majority has announced it's happening. A Denver cop fired for tweets promoting the violence. Now we're up to June 3rd. Minnesota Institute of Arts, First Avenue, Walker Arts Center, and use of MPD for events. A lot of this is Minneapolis-centric, but all of this needs to happen everywhere. And that's why the fight isn't over. June 3rd, finally, Chauvin charged and taken into custody. Also, charges upgraded to second-degree murder. It was originally third. The other 3 officers charged and taken into custody. That was just on June 3rd. More statues coming down. Another Robert E. Lee statue coming down. Some activity in Richmond, Virginia, where the mayor announced some reforms. Minnesota Parks and Rec cut ties with Minnesota Police Department. Yep, defund. I love this. Headline from June 3rd. U.S. Army tells soldiers to disobey any orders to attack peaceful protesters nationwide. Also June 3rd, Los Angeles announces $150 million cut from LAPD budget reinvested into communities. Seattle changed their mind, and they withdrew a request they had to end federal oversight of the police department. The Breonna Taylor case has been reopened. Still on the 4th of June, Portland Schools superintendent discontinues presence of armed police officers in schools. And another bus story. This is so cool. These transportation unions. This one in Boston. Buses will not transport police to protests or transport protesters to police. And then this particular list ends on June 4th. King County Labor Federation issues ultimatum to police unions to admit to and address racism in Seattle Police Department or be removed. So that just takes us to June 4th. Today is June, 8th? So triple that list. And add to that the monumental failure and faceplant of wannabe strongman Donald, his own military, telling the commander-in-chief, nope, you don't get it. You don't get it, and you don't get it. So take a deep breath, pat yourself on the back, and get right back up there on the horse there. I'm mixing dozens of metaphors today. Because what's happening in isolated places needs to happen everywhere. What's happening in Congress is going to require a different looking Senate and a different looking president in the White House. And we are only 5 months away, less than 5 months now. This is no longer just a quick reflex reaction. Hit the streets because we're angry kind of a thing. No, this is very quickly becoming a sustained and a sustainable movement that starts with people on the street, massive protests on the street, and very quickly, more quickly than I could have hoped for. I did not see this coming. Action on the local, state, and federal levels. You know, I bragged about being right with my little radio play, but I never dreamed it would be in this time frame. By the way, if you want to be right all the time, if you're that kind of person who really likes to be right, just be a lefty. You're always going to be proven right in the end. Look at every achievement through the years, through the decades. Every one of them was led by lefties who got spat on. So just pick any issue and be a lefty. And yeah, people might spit on you. You might not be real popular in your circle. Well, you change your circle. Because I guarantee you, you will be proven right at some point. It might be down the road, and it might happen much sooner than you expected. So if you have no other motivation except you like to be right, you want to be right all the time, well, be a lefty. Guaranteed that'll work. There's your strategy right there. So you guys are winning, and I'm proud of you. Take a bow. It's early. There's a long fight still. And then even beyond that, let's go ahead. Let's dream big here. Police reform is great. Disbanding the police, incredible. But there's absolutely no reason in the world that we can't also get some real policy, real reform, real teeth into the issues of unemployment, inequities in housing, education, healthcare. Real laws, real teeth, real reform. No reason. There's no reason in this world that can't happen. And we don't have to wait 70 years for a utopian perfect world. You guys are showing that this can happen. Oh, what a weekend. What a weekend this was. All right, go get them. Go get them. Go get them. This has been the Daily Log for Monday, June 8. I love you. I'm Charles Purcell.